The United States of America half-dollar dated 1776 to 1976 is commonly known as the Bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar, a commemorative circulating coin issued to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and the birth of the United States as a nation, marking 2 centuries, often described poetically as 200 years of freedom. Since the American colonies declared independence from British rule on July 4, 1776, unlike most U.S. coins that display a single year of minting, this half-dollar uniquely bears the dual date, 1776 to 1976, symbolizing the historical span between the nation's founding and its bicentennial celebration, and it was authorized by Congress in 1973 as part of a broader national effort to commemorate the bicentennial through coinage, public events, education, and cultural remembrance. The obverse front of the coin continues to feature the familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy, originally designed by Gilroy Roberts shortly after Kennedy's assassination in 1963, facing left with the inscriptions Liberty along the upper edge, In God We Trust, split to the left and right of the portrait, and the dual date beneath, reinforcing both continuity and reflection, while the reverse, back, of the bicentennial half-dollar was completely redesigned through a national design competition and features Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the historic building where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted, and where the U.S. Constitution was later drafted, making it one of the most powerful architectural symbols of American democracy and self-governance. This reverse design was created by Seth G. Huntington, a young art student at the time, and shows Independence Hall in detailed yet balanced relief, with the Liberty Bell Tower centered and the building's symmetry emphasizing stability, order, and Republican ideals, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America along the top and half-dollar along the bottom, with E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, positioned above the building, encapsulating the philosophical foundation of the nation as a union of states and peoples bound together under shared principles of liberty and law. The bicentennial half-dollar was produced at 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark; Denver, D Mint Mark; and San Francisco, S Mint Mark, with Philadelphia and Denver striking large numbers of copper-nickel clad coins intended for general circulation, while San Francisco produced special collector versions, including 40% silver-clad uncirculated and proof coins sold directly to the public, making these silver issues particularly valued by collectors today. Despite initial public enthusiasm, many bicentennial half-dollars were saved rather than spent, leading to relatively low circulation wear and making them common in higher grades even decades later, though their value varies depending on mint, condition, and metal content, with standard circulated clad versions generally worth face value or slightly more, while silver proofs and pristine uncirculated examples command higher premiums. Historically, the coin reflects a moment of national introspection during the 1970s, a decade marked by political upheaval, the aftermath of the Vietnam War, economic challenges and social change, and the bicentennial coinage program, including the quarter with a colonial drummer and the Eisenhower dollar with the Liberty Bell and moon, was intended to rekindle civic pride, historical awareness, and unity by reconnecting Americans with the ideals of the Revolutionary era. The inclusion of mottos such as "In God We Trust," first adopted on U.S. coins during the Civil War, and "E pluribus unum," used since the earliest days of the Republic, ties the bicentennial half-dollar not only to 1776, but to the evolving moral, cultural, and political identity of the nation across centuries, making the coin both a functional object of commerce and a compact historical document. Today, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar stands as a tangible reminder of America's struggle for independence, its constitutional foundations, and its ongoing experiment in democracy, preserved in metal and imagery for future generations, symbolizing how history, art, politics, and national memory can converge in a single coin that continues to circulate, be collected, studied, and admired as part of the enduring legacy of the United States of America. The next top. The United States of America half-dollar dated 1971 is an important coin in modern American numismatic history, best known as the Kennedy half-dollar, and it represents a significant transition in U.S. coinage, both culturally and materially. The coin was issued during a period of change following the removal of silver from most circulating U.S. coins. And 1971 specifically marks the first year that the half-dollar was struck entirely in a copper-nickel clad composition rather than containing any silver, as earlier Kennedy half-dollars from 1965 to 1970 were composed of 40% silver, making the 1971 issue a clear symbol of the end of precious metal coinage in everyday circulation. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by sculptor Gilroy Roberts, with the word Liberty arching across the top. The national motto, "In God We Trust," divided on either side of Kennedy's neck, and the date, 1971, placed at the bottom, all of which reflect long-standing traditions in U.S. coin design while also honoring the late president whose assassination in 1963 led to the rapid creation of the Kennedy half-dollar in 1964 as a memorial. The reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal, featuring a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. With a shield on its chest, a ring of stars above its head, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, inscribed on a banner above the eagle, reinforcing the foundational idea of unity among the states of the nation. Surrounding the reverse design are the inscriptions United States of America along the top and half-dollar along the bottom, clearly stating the country of origin and denomination. The 1971 half-dollar was struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, which carries no mint mark, Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S, with the San Francisco issues being proof coins intended primarily for collectors rather than general circulation. In terms of physical specifications, the coin has a diameter of approximately 30.61 millimeters, a reeded edge, and a weight of 11.34 grams, consisting of outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper, giving it durability for circulation but also distinguishing it from earlier silver issues in color, sound, and intrinsic value. The mintage of the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar was extremely high, with hundreds of millions produced for circulation, reflecting the U.S. Mint's expectation that the coin would continue to be used widely in commerce, although in practice half-dollars gradually fell out of regular use due to public hoarding, changing spending habits, and the increasing dominance of smaller denominations and paper currency. Historically, the 1971 half-dollar stands at the intersection of remembrance and modernization, honoring a beloved president while also marking economic realities such as rising silver prices and the government's decision to remove precious metals from circulating coinage. From a collector's perspective, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar is generally considered common and affordable, especially in circulated condition, though proof versions and high-grade uncirculated examples can still hold educational and aesthetic value, making the coin a frequent subject in libraries, classrooms, and introductory numismatic collections as a tangible artifact that tells a broad story about American history, national identity, economic policy, and the symbolism embedded in everyday objects like coins that carry enduring mottos such as "In God We Trust" and "E pluribus unum," connecting the past, present, and shared ideals of the United States of America. The next top. The United States of America half-dollar dated 1972 refers to the Kennedy half-dollar, a circulating U.S. coin that carries deep historical, artistic, political, and numismatic significance and whose inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E pluribus unum" reflect core American ideals. Introduced in 1964 following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the half-dollar quickly became both a memorial and a symbol of national unity, and by 1972, it was well established as a regular issue coin struck primarily for circulation but increasingly saved by the public as a keepsake, which reduced its everyday use. The obverse front of the 1972 half-dollar features a left-facing portrait of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, with Kennedy's hair rendered in detailed, sculptural lines meant to convey dignity, youth, and resolve, and surrounding the portrait is the word liberty, symbolizing the foundational American principle of individual freedom, while just below Kennedy's chin appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," officially adopted as a required inscription on U.S. coinage in the mid-20th century but rooted in Civil War era expressions of faith and national identity, and the date, 1972, appears at the bottom, marking the year of minting. The reverse, back, of the coin, designed by Frank Asparo, depicts a powerful heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other, symbols of peace and military readiness, adapted from the presidential seal, reinforcing the coin's connection to the presidency and the executive branch of government, and encircling the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the Union, while above the eagle arches the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. A motto dating back to the founding of the nation that emphasizes unity formed from diversity, and around the outer rim appears United States of America and $50, clearly identifying the country of issue and denomination. The 1972 Kennedy $50 was struck in copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. A change that had taken place in 1971 when silver was fully removed from the $50 due to rising bullion prices and hoarding, making the 1972 issue historically important as part of the early post-silver era of U.S. coinage. These coins were produced at both the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, D mint mark, with tens of millions struck. Yet despite large mintages, many were never widely circulated because Americans continued to save Kennedy $50 out of respect and sentiment, causing the denomination to fade from daily commerce. From a cultural perspective, the 1972 $50 represents a transitional period in American history marked by the Cold War, the Vietnam War, political change, and shifting economic policies, and the continued presence of Kennedy's image served as a reminder of idealism, leadership, and national grief transformed into remembrance. Numismatically, collectors value the 1972 $50 not for precious metal content but for condition, strike quality, and historical context, with uncirculated and proof versions, especially from San Francisco, holding greater interest, while circulated examples remain accessible educational artifacts, commonly found in collections and libraries as teaching tools for American history, civics, and symbolism. Overall, the 1972 United States of America $50 stands as a compact yet powerful representation of American values, faith expressed through "In God We Trust," unity through "E pluribus unum," liberty through inscription and imagery, and remembrance through the enduring portrait of President Kennedy, making it not just a piece of currency, but a lasting historical document preserved in collections, libraries, and the national memory. The next top. The United States of America 1978 $50 is a circulating commemorative style coin that belongs to the long-running Kennedy $50 series, a series introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy following his assassination, and by 1978 it had become a standard copper, nickel-clad coin produced for regular circulation rather than a precious metal issue, reflecting broader changes in U.S. coinage that began in the late 1960s when rising silver prices made silver coins impractical for everyday use. The obverse of the 1978 $50 features a left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts, adapted from the president's official inaugural medal, and inscribed with the national motto, "In God We Trust," which appears to the left of Kennedy's neck. A phrase with deep historical and cultural significance that was first placed on U.S. coins during the Civil War era in the 1860s, reflecting the nation's desire at the time to express religious faith and moral grounding during a period of intense conflict, and which was later adopted as the official motto of the United States in 1956 during the Cold War. The word liberty arcs prominently around the upper edge of the obverse, symbolizing one of the core ideals upon which the United States was founded, while the date, 1978, appears below Kennedy's truncation, marking the year of minting during the presidency of Jimmy Carter. a period characterized by economic challenges such as inflation and energy crises, which indirectly influenced minting practices and public use of coinage. The reverse of the 1978 half-dollar was designed by Frank Gasparo and features a powerful heraldic eagle based on the presidential seal, with the eagle holding an olive branch in one talon to represent peace and a bundle of arrows in the other to signify military readiness. A visual statement of the nation's preference for peace, but preparedness for defense. Above the eagle's head is a ring of stars, representing the states of the Union, and around the reverse edge are the inscriptions, United States of America and half-dollar, clearly identifying the issuing authority and denomination, while directly above the eagle is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. A phrase that dates back to 18th century American symbolism and emphasizes the idea of unity formed from diverse states, peoples, and backgrounds, a foundational concept of American national identity. The 1978 half-dollar was struck at both the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which used a D mint mark on the obverse. And although millions were produced, the coin saw limited everyday circulation because half-dollars had already begun to fall out of favor in daily commerce due to their size and inconvenience compared to quarters, leading many examples to be saved by collectors or stored away unused. Compositionally, the coin consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it a total weight of approximately 11.34 grams and a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, specifications that align with modern U.S. clad coinage standards. Culturally and historically, the 1978 Kennedy half-dollar represents not only a tribute to a beloved president, but also a snapshot of American values as expressed through its inscriptions: faith in God we trust, commitment to freedom and liberty, unity in E pluribus unum, and national identity in United States of America, making it an important educational piece often referenced in libraries, classrooms, and numismatic collections as a tangible artifact that connects art, history, politics, and national philosophy within a single coin. The next top. The United States of America half-dollar dated 2001 with the D mint mark is part of the long-running Kennedy half-dollar series, a coin that carries deep historical, cultural, and symbolic meaning in American numismatics. Minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D, the 2001 half-dollar was produced primarily for circulation, although by this period half-dollars were rarely seen in everyday commerce and were increasingly saved by collectors. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, first introduced in 1964 shortly after Kennedy's assassination, making it one of the most emotionally significant coins in U.S. history. Along the obverse rim appears the inscription Liberty, symbolizing the foundational American ideal of freedom, while directly above Kennedy's head is the national motto, In God We Trust, reflecting the country's spiritual heritage and the belief, formally adopted on U.S. coinage in the 1950s, that the nation's principles are grounded in faith and moral responsibility. The date 2001 appears below Kennedy's neckline, marking the first year of the 21st century and placing the coin in a historically significant transitional era for the United States. The reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential coat of arms, featuring a heraldic eagle with wings spread, clutching an olive branch in one talon to represent peace, and a bundle of arrows in the other to symbolize military strength and readiness, conveying the balance between diplomacy and defense. Surrounding the eagle is a ring of 50 stars, representing the states of the Union, and above the eagle arches the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, a phrase that emphasizes unity among diverse states and peoples. Below the eagle appears the denomination, half-dollar, while United States of America encircles the upper rim, clearly identifying the issuing nation. The 2001 D. Kennedy half-dollar is composed of copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin a total weight of 11.34 grams, a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and a reeded edge, specifications that have remained consistent since 1971 when silver was removed from circulation strikes of the series. While not made of precious metal, the coin holds value as a historical artifact, representing continuity in American coinage and the enduring legacy of President Kennedy. The Denver Mint produced over tens of millions of these coins in 2001, making them common in uncirculated condition, yet they remain popular among collectors due to their design, symbolism, and connection to American history. Although its monetary value typically remains close to face value unless in high mint state condition, the 2001 D-half dollar is an important piece for completing date and mint collections and serves as a tangible reminder of national identity, unity, faith, and liberty as expressed